A horse's hoof is designed to trap dirt in the commissures of the frog. In the wild, where horses don't have humans to clean out their feet, this dirt acts as a natural packing that provides arch support to the sole. For domestic horses, we do recommend removing this debris from the hoof because they live in a very different environment. However, we can add man-made packing to the commissures to mimic the effect of the dirt that the frog would trap. We'd like the foot to be dry prior to packing. If not, place the horse in a stall with dry shavings for 10 to 15 minutes. We like to use a wire brush and clean with alcohol because it evaporates quickly. Spray the hoof generously with alcohol and spray right into the commissures to wash out any debris. When finished cleaning, try to make sure the hoof is dry before you add any packing. We created this animation from 80 static radiographs, each taken as we increase the load on a cadaver leg in a press. There's a thin chain along the coronary band. There are 3 nails glued to the sole. The frontmost nail has its sharp tip at the tip of the frog. The rearmost nail is placed in the deepest part of the commissure. As the sole is loaded, you can see the nails move, because the sole is flexible and bears some of the weight of the horse. Here's a close-up view of the same thing. We mark the beginning and ending positions of the tips of the nails in order to illustrate the motion of the sole. This is the same hoof, but now we've added packing in the commissures of the frog. In the close-up view, we can see that the packing is helping to support the sole and has changed the motion of the markers when the sole is loaded. There's less vertical deflection of the sole. This isn't surprising. The packing is simply offering some resistance to the otherwise downward motion of the sole. Here's a summary of how packing has affected the deflection of the sole under load. We can certainly say that packing changes things. People can argue over which is better for the hoof, with packing or without. We happen to feel that horses in nature live with hooves that are often full of dirt and debris, so we argue that a packed hoof is more natural than an unpacked hoof. Most likely, the hoof's function evolved with packing as a natural part of the overall system. EponaShoe packing comes in 2 parts. Mix equal amounts in your hands, blending the 2 components together. Make sure your hands are dry when kneading the packing, as moisture will prevent even mixing. Once blended, the chemistry starts, and the packing will become firm in 2 or 3 minutes. An option is to use some of our antibacterial granules mixed right in with the packing, or sprinkled into the commissures before placing the packing. More on this later. If you plan to glue, avoid getting packing where the glue will go. Let the horse stand on a piece of wax paper or plastic to flatten the packing. Some people are concerned about bacteria when using packing. To alleviate those concerns, we've formulated all-natural antibacterial, antifungal granules, which can be mixed with our packing. These are appropriate for ongoing year-round use, and while not required, are especially recommended if you are in a wet or humid area. Unlike some other hoof packings on the market, EponaShoe packing was formulated specifically for the hoof. It is not a product developed for some other industry and simply relabeled for farrier use. Also, EponaShoe packing is created from materials which are FDA approved to be safe for humans. Based on our own materials research, we formulated the packing to have the correct stiffness and resiliency for optimal results under the hoof. Traditionally, people have used wedge pads to improve the stance of the foot. However, we feel that packing is more consistent with the natural function of the hoof. In this morph, the hard heels of the hoof were on the ground in both the before and after image. But the presence of the packing helped to support the internal structures. In lieu of a wedge pad, we use packing in this way to gain a few degrees, and then, if necessary, we use a bit thicker glue layer at the heels to gain an additional degree or 2. So generally, we do not use wedge pads with EponaShoe. We use packing on 98% of horses shod with EponaShoes. The packing reduces peripheral loading by ensuring that some weight is borne by the frog and bars. This helps avoid issues that come with peripheral loading. If there's a gap between the shoe and the sole, we sometimes add extra packing into the central hole of the EponaShoe. Properly done, the packing forms a gasket, and rocks and debris cannot get in under the shoe. We have a clean dirt environment under the foot, and the EponaShoe holds the packing in place. Our packing breathes somewhat, and we have horses that have been continuously packed like this for more than 12 years now, year-round, and their feet are in great shape. Our mesh-style shoe is intended for users who don't use the packing. The mesh will block rocks and debris from getting in under the shoe. Packing can change the internal bone stance of the coffin bone and navicular bone. We find that packing is beneficial to most horses. Packing is especially useful in horses with compromised internal structures, like weak bars, thin soles, and poor digital cushion. It may also be a benefit for horses with contracted heels, as it may help to encourage some spreading of the heels. Our packing can be used for many situations, especially if used when gluing EponaShoe. For example, if you intend to add thicker glue at the heels, you may want to add a thin layer of packing, as shown in this photo, to ensure that you continue to have frog support. This hoof had a cracked coffin bone, and packing was used instead of glue just under that area of the hoof to reduce any impact there. We used to offer packing as an option, but over the years we've found it to be so valuable, we now use it on every hoof we shoe. So we strongly recommend its use as part of our shoeing system.